The night the sky fell on Sydney. Cold open? $2.3 billion. In 4 hours. That's what fell from the sky over Sydney on April 14, 1999. Not rain. Hail. Ice stones the size of golf balls, moving at 170 kilometers per hour. One night. One storm. The costliest natural disaster in Australian history, and it exposed something far more dangerous than weather. It started innocuously enough. Wednesday afternoon, April 14, 1999. A low-pressure system moved south of Sydney. Meteorologists watched. Nobody panicked. Hailstorms happen. But this one didn't follow the script. By 6 p.m., supercell thunderstorms had formed along the coast. By 8 p.m., they'd stalled directly over Sydney's eastern suburbs, the richest real estate in Australia. Kirrawee, Cronulla, Sutherland, Strathfield. And then downtown Sydney itself. The central business district. Where the money lives. The hail that fell was catastrophic. Golf ball-sized. Tennis ball-sized in some areas. For 4 hours straight. Windscreens shattered across 40,000 vehicles. Roofs destroyed on 20,000 homes. 2.3 billion Australian dollars in insured losses. The previous record? 1.3 billion Australian dollars in 1989. This storm doubled it in a single night. But here's what made this event genuinely historic: it nearly broke the Australian insurance industry. Not metaphorically. Actually nearly broke it. The damage claims started arriving within hours. Insurers faced an immediate crisis. They had to pay out more money than many of them actually had in reserves. Australia's largest insurers, IAG, QBE, AMP, faced potential insolvency. The Australian Prudential Regulation Authority, which oversaw insurance companies, suddenly realised something terrifying: the entire system had been built on the assumption that catastrophic losses in Australia were rare. Maybe once every 200 years. This assumption had a name: tail risk. In finance, tail risk means the probability of extreme, unprecedented events, the statistical outliers that shouldn't happen but do. The Australian insurance industry had priced its policies betting that tail risk didn't exist. Between 1989 and 1999, 2 major catastrophes hit. 2 in 10 years. That's not rare. That's a pattern. And insurance companies had been collecting premiums based on math that no longer worked. Insurers began raising premiums immediately. By 20 to 30% in some cases. Immediately. Within weeks. Homeowners in Sydney discovered that their insurance policies had become unaffordable. Some couldn't get coverage at all. The market seized. But the real story, the thing that reframes everything, is what happened before the storm hit. Regulators had warned about this exact scenario. For years. In the early 1990s, Australian actuaries and risk experts had begun publishing papers about increased weather volatility and the underpricing of catastrophic risk. One 1997 report, largely ignored, predicted that a single event could trigger exactly what happened: a crisis of confidence in the insurance system itself. The insurance companies knew. They didn't ignore the warnings maliciously. They ignored them because their business model depended on it. If they'd actually priced for realistic tail risk, they couldn't have competed. Their policies would have been 40 to 50% more expensive. They would have lost customers to competitors doing the same calculation. So the industry collectively chose a lie: that catastrophe was priced in when it wasn't. That's not negligence. That's rational economic behavior within a broken system. Every player acting logically within the incentive structure that existed, knowing full well that eventually, the structure would fail. The 1999 Sydney hailstorm didn't create the problem. It exposed it. Here's what matters today: 25 years later, insurance is supposed to be the mechanism that protects us from tail risk. It's the system designed to handle the unthinkable. But insurance only works if the pricing reflects reality. If an entire industry systematically underprices catastrophe to remain competitive, then insurance doesn't protect us from tail risk, it hides it. The same dynamic exists now in climate risk. Insurers are watching flood patterns, wildfire patterns, hurricane patterns change. They know what's coming. But if one insurer prices accurately for catastrophe and loses customers to competitors who don't, the accurate insurer goes out of business. The market punishes honesty. After 1999, Australia's insurance system reformed. Regulations tightened. Reserves were required to be higher. But the fundamental conflict remained: can a competitive market ever accurately price for tail risk? Or does competition always drive pricing back toward the lie? That's the question no one answered in 1999. And no one's answered it since. This video is for educational purposes only. Not financial advice.